When you think of the best supervillains, who do you think of? Is it a Joker? Is it a Thanos? Maybe an Ultron, Magneto, Bane, or Reverse Flash even? All these villains are amazing, but there is one villain who stands above the rest as the greatest villain to ever be put on screen and in the pages of a comic book. And his name is Doctor Doom. Now, Doctor Doom is just on a different level compared to the rest of the best villains. While the Joker is robbing banks, Doctor Doom is leading a whole country. While Spider-Man is trying to get a part-time job at Domino's, Doctor Doom is sitting on his own throne, drinking out of a golden cup. While the Avengers are trying to defeat Thanos with a whole army of superheroes, Doctor Doom can take down Thanos with his own two hands. And for the people who don't know about this iconic scene where Doctor Doom rips out Thanos' spine like a Mortal Kombat character, let me explain it to you, because this comic panel is pretty peak and has a lot of lore behind it. So what happens is Doom is pretty much so strong that he's reached god levels of power, and Thanos really steps up to Doom like he stands a chance. Then Doom says to Thanos, "Look, if you bow down before me, I'll spare you, Thanos." Then Thanos says, "You're a weak god, and you should bow down to me," and then goes on to say, "I don't need an Infinity Gauntlet to defeat you. I am the great tyrant to Thanos. That will be enough to defeat you, Doctor Doom." And then Doctor Doom does the most craziest thing ever. He rips out Thanos' spine in seconds without Thanos being able to react and drops this bar.
"That appears untrue."
And Doctor Doom is just one of the biggest menaces of all time, to the point where he's pretty much on the Mount Rushmore of hating, alongside some of the greatest haters in all of fiction. Like, Doctor Doom's hatred for the Fantastic Four is unmatched. Doctor Doom has been tormenting the Fantastic Four for decades now, and has been tormenting them across multiverses, to the point where even in Fortnite, yes, the game Fortnite, Doctor Doom has eliminated all the Fantastic Four and uses the remains as trophies in his throne room. Like, he turned Thing, arguably one of the strongest characters in Marvel Universe, a character who can even rival Hulk, and Hulk and Thing have faced off many times, and the Thing doesn't die, he holds his own. And even though the Thing is so strong, Doctor Doom turns him into his own chair, which is just crazy disrespect. Like, I know that must suck for the Thing, like, you don't even get a proper burial, you just end up being a chair for your biggest op. And it doesn't even stop there. Doctor Doom has turned Human Torch's heart into a fireplace, which means that Doctor Doom ripped out Human Torch's heart while he's on Flame On. And in case you guys don't know, when the Human Torch is on Flame On, he's as hot as the sun. So Doctor Doom being able to defeat Human Torch while being as hot as sun is pretty crazy. And while Doctor Doom took out Human Torch's heart, he decided to take his name literally and make him into a real life flaming torch, which is just pretty funny at the same time. So at least we know Doctor Doom has a cruel sense of humor. And he didn't do all these horrendous acts to just the Fantastic Four. He also defeated Doctor Strange, Magneto, Thanos, Ultron, Moon Knight. And if we talk about the Marvel comics, he's pretty much defeated every single character in Marvel history. And sometimes when DC and Marvel crossed over, he defeated some of the DC characters too, which is pretty crazy to have on a resume of this type of villain. But the one who got it the worst was Reed Richards, because Doctor Doom turned him into his own personal bouncing ball and is still alive, but is forced to be Doctor Doom's kickball for the rest of his life, which is probably a fate worse than death. Now, if you want to know why Doctor Doom has so much hatred in his heart for Mr. Fantastic, it's because they have a lot of history behind them and have one of the biggest rivalries in all of fiction. The reason their beef started was because Doctor Doom and Reed Richards were both the smartest minds and butted heads a lot, until one of their experiments went wrong and it scarred Doctor Doom's face, making him put on his iconic Doom mask that we all know today. And because he got scarred by Reed Richards and he's his intellectual rival, Doctor Doom became so petty, he's always trying to one-up Reed Richards at any moment he can. And there has been countless times that Doctor Doom has tried to ruin Reed Richards' life, whether it be in animation, whether it be a comic, whether it be in movies. You know, Doctor Doom will always have a hatred for Mr. Fantastic at any point in time. And what's crazy is that even though Doctor Doom does all this crazy stuff to Reed Richards, you would think Reed Richards would call the cops, fight back or do something to, make Doctor Doom stop. But there's something that Doctor Doom has that he can keep on bothering Reed Richards for the rest of his life. And that's because Doctor Doom is a literal king of a country named Latveria in the Marvel Universe, which means Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, can't do anything to Doctor Doom, because if he does, if he fights back, he could start a war against the two countries, which makes Doctor Doom kind of untouchable. He can pretty much pick on Reed Richards and really have no consequences to it, which makes a pretty funny dynamic in the comics and makes it pretty fun to see where Doctor Doom can literally get away with pretty much anything. And not only does Doctor Doom have like the wealth of a king, he also has the intellect to rival Reed Richards, but what also puts him to another level is that he also has the power of magic. So he pretty much is a scientist with magic powers, and he has the riches of a king, which just makes him like super strong in any situation. He's pretty much Batman mixed with Doctor Strange mixed with Mr. Fantastic, which makes him one of the strongest and smartest and most powerful characters in the Marvel Universe, which just makes Doctor Doom have so much aura compared to every other villain. Where even in the movies where we get a watered down Doctor Doom from the comic, he's still on demon timing. Like in the Fan4Stick movie, which is a bad movie, but has this amazing scene where Doom wakes up and walks down a hallway with a bunch of people and soldiers and just starts hopping their heads with just his mind. And then when a whole SWAT team starts shooting at him, he has his own force field that protects him from all these bullets and then obliterates this whole entire SWAT team with just a thought. It is honestly such a great scene in such a bad movie. And it was obviously inspired by the iconic Elfrin Lied hallway scene where she escapes a facility and murks a whole bunch of guards with AKs. And it's what the Doctor Doom scene was trying to achieve, but obviously the anime did it 10 times better. What also made this original scene so much better was it had classical music playing in the background, which just made it so cool and so eerie and creepy and so amazing. And it kind of saddens me to see that if they committed to this Doctor Doom where he's like Lucy from Elfin Lied the anime, it would have been so peak. But instead we got this stinker of a movie, a Fan4Stick.
Gotta say, it's fantastic.
Say that again?
It's fantastic.
And the Fan4Stick movie could have been so much better if we got the original version the director wanted to make, where Doctor Doom was a herald of Galactus, which pretty much means that he would have been the Silver Surfer in this universe in terms of how powerful he would have been. But obviously there was a lot of studio interference with this movie, and instead we got this stinker of a movie. But anyways, another great Doctor Doom scene was in the Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer, where the whole movie he's trying to get the Silver Board, and when he does get Silver Surfer's board, he becomes so powerful by having his original powers of Doctor Doom and having the powers of the Silver Surfer. And the only reason he really loses is because of, the plot, because realistically, if he gave Doctor Doom the powers of the Silver Surfer, he's most likely the strongest person in the MCU. But either way, at least we got this cool looking outfit with Doctor Doom with this silver coating on his suits, which looks pretty well done for the time period it was made. And if I had to give credit to the old Fantastic Four movies, I will always give credit to that. The effects look pretty good in these movies. Like the Human Torch's flame on and the Silver Surfer's design were always amazing and were always pretty peak that you can't really knock it for its visual effects. Except for maybe, Mr. Fantastic stretching all about, because man, that dancing scene in the bar looks pretty bad. And speaking on designs, there's no doubt that Doctor Doom has one of the best designs in all of fiction and even all of history. When it comes to his just general outfit, I think it's pretty iconic, and changing the Doctor Doom look never worked. You just always had to go for the classic Latveria outfit. Not to mention, when it comes to his iconic mask, it is up there as one of the most iconic masks of all time. The only other mask I can really even think that can rival Doom's mask is maybe Darth Vader's mask. Not to mention, Doctor Doom having a cape is always gonna look pretty cool, especially when it's a villain, because when you give a villain a cape, he will always look so much cooler because it just adds so much aura to a character. Like, think about all the best villains always have capes. Think of a Homelander, think of a Magneto, think of a Doctor Doom, think of a Darth Vader. When villains have capes, you just know they're about to be so cool. What also adds to how cool Doctor Doom is just all the images and all the panels of him sitting on his throne. Like, just seeing this picture of Doctor Doom sitting on his throne just has so much aura to it. Like, is there anything more cool than a character just sitting on a throne? Like, if you're sitting on a throne, there's no way you're not the coldest person in the room. What also adds to Doom's mystique is how Doctor Doom is one of the Marvel villains who can have multiple versions of himself with his Doom bots. There are so many times when the Fantastic Four are thinking they're fighting the real Doom and struggling to defeat him until they realize they're not even fighting the real Doctor Doom, they're fighting a literal bot. Having these Doom bots make it almost impossible to tell if you're fighting the real Doctor Doom until you actually defeat him, which just adds to him seemingly feel like he's an unkillable villain. Which is why I'm so curious to see how they do Doctor Doom in the MCU, because it seems like they're trying to do an Infamous Iron Man, which has a pretty cool design, but I'm kind of iffy on because I'm not really too sure if anyone really even cares about Infamous Iron Man. Like, no one even heard about Infamous Iron Man before Robert Downey Jr. got announced to play Doctor Doom. And I'm not trying to throw hate to Infamous Iron Man, but it just shows you that the original Doctor Doom is this far more superior, where you hear about original Doctor Doom every single point in time, but you've never really heard of Infamous Iron Man. And the only reason Infamous Iron Man is even known is because he's just another version of Doctor Doom, which just shows you that Doctor Doom is so cool that if you just make a watered down version or another person as Doctor Doom, they seemingly feel more cool because they're like Doctor Doom. But they are making a Fantastic Four movie, and I hope that they make a more faithful Doctor Doom in that movie, because he is so cool with his Doom mods and being the king of Latveria that if Iron Man was Doctor Doom, it wouldn't be as cool. So hopefully they do a real Doctor Doom right, because he is so iconic and one of Marvel's best villains. And they haven't really done him justice yet in movies, so I can only hope that the Doom in the MCU at least does Doom some justice, because he is him. But there are so many great Doctor Doom moments that that I can go on and on about, but I would like to know what is your personal favorite Doctor Doom moment from the comics or for maybe the movies. Mine will always be Doctor Doom ripping out Thanos' spine because it's such a cool moment. So let me know what is your favorite Doctor Doom moment down in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe because 99% of the people who watch me aren't subscribed. So don't be that 99%, be that 1%. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope to see you guys next time. Later, hater. Peace.
If that's